007 is back. Or is he 007? Because when we first meet him in the opening sequences of 007 First Light, he has to earn the designation. When we first meet him, he's in the SAS and he hasn't even joined MI6 yet. So First Light is all about becoming 007, but Bond is back. And we are here to talk about it because I have been waiting for this game every single day since it was announced. But Austin, I'm going to let you kick us off about your thoughts on this game so far. And as a caveat, neither of us have beaten the game yet. We have put significant time in on it already, but we have not beaten it. We will do a full review once we have both beaten it. But for now, we're giving our first impressions. Austin, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm excited that this game is out. I think we probably both have played it like halfway through, I would say, give or take. So, looking at that holistically, we haven't had a 007 game in a very long time. The last one was Legends. And, I played a lot of games back in the day with like GoldenEye on N64, Quantum of Solace on 360. I played some of the Pierce Brosnan games and some of the Sean Connery games. And so this is really a slick, modern James Bond game that is definitely favored towards more Daniel Craig in terms of just like slickness of it. I mean, there's definitely gadgets and that kind of thing that kind of lean maybe Pierce Brosnan-esque. But what I really like about this game is that we're getting a fresh take on how 007 starts. I mean, when we jump into the movies, we're really getting 007 kind of already doing his thing. And I think the piece of this game that I really like the most with the story is that we're getting more insight into the other 00s. I mean, you and I have talked before, like, we don't really get a lot of, time with other 00s. We're always focused on Bond. And of course, it's about Bond. But to really get a sense, especially in the training montages towards the beginning of the game, where you're going through training in MI6 and you're working with the other 00s, you get a real sense on like kind of how MI6 structures their spies. And what I really like about it is they're actually using the 00s in this game to be a catalyst for why Bond becomes the person that we know and love. And I'm not going to spoil the game, but there's some really intense things that happen that kind of like, launch Bond into the man that he, we all know and love, and how he becomes like kind of the main person that we follow. But what I really like is that, we're starting fresh. Like it's like a brand new movie. And this guy that, does the motion capture for Bond, like he seems to really do a really good job, but it definitely is like a more like, just like, it's a pretty good mix between like a Mission Impossible and a Bond in the way that they're portraying this James Bond. But I really like how they give you the versatility in this game to go about any mission in a way that you would like to do. Like there's a mission in this game that's in a hotel, and it's one of the lengthier missions of the game that we have played so far. And in the hotel, you literally can choose how you want to get to the top floor. And I found myself going on the outside and climbing up the pipes and going through the door, but you can find other ways to get through it. And I really like that you can find costumes. And I really like that you can find...
I went the other way. I went on the inside. So that's to your point.
Yeah, you went on the inside. So I really like that you can do different costumes. You can do different gadgets to utilize. And it lets you choose without actually knowing what's going to be helpful for the mission. And so overall, I think the gameplay is very versatile. I really love that aspect of it. And it makes you really think about, hey, what does it mean to be a 00? What does it mean to be a spy? And which ways are you going to go about it that could work in your favor or not?
Right. And speaking to that mission, to your point of you can do multiple ways, I got to that mission first and I gave you a heads up like, hey, I picked the wrong gadgets. You only have so many gadgets spots. And the one thing I left off happened to be the thing that was the most important. And there's no way of knowing that going in. And so knowing that you hadn't gotten there yet, I said, hey, heads up, bring this gadget. It'll save you time. But what I like about this game is that in the end, I was still able to complete the mission without the gadget. It just took more time, and I had to make different decisions. And I think that's what's brilliant about this game is that if you're doing a mission and you die or you fail, before you restart, you literally have to think, okay, where did I go wrong? What other ways can I approach it? Like you really have to act like Bond and make decisions that make more sense as to whatever you just tried to do, whether it was brute force or whatever. But yeah, this game is smooth, and And just, I've heard people talking about the walking style, which is something that I noticed. Like a lot of games where you're like following NPC characters or you're walking along, it can look really clunky, or you can get ahead of them and then you're turning around to look at them because you walked too fast, or sometimes you press the forward button and the character starts running for no reason. But I feel like this game, in terms of like just the pacing of the characters walking, is really smooth. Everything looks really good. The graphics look so good. You can tell they put so many years into this game. And that opening sequence with the Lana Del Rey song was unbelievable. And with the last few movies, we've seen kind of a loss of interest a little bit from the mass public in James Bond. So I really think this game is extremely well positioned at a time where they're finally starting to ramp up on the Bond movie to really get people back into the Bond of it all.
Yeah.
And I found myself like hoping that IOI was going to turn this into a world of its own and let the movies kind of exist themselves. And we don't know what the movie is going to be yet, but I would say from the way this game looks, it's a good sign that it's at least going to look good, because Amazon is heavily involved in the making of the game, and they wouldn't allow a game to be made that is completely foreign from what they're about to do.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean that Patrick Gibson is going to be the real life Bond. He doesn't really look like the game version of Bond at all. It doesn't mean that they're going to cast the same people. I'm just saying, in terms of what we can expect, I think it can be pretty similar to this. But we've also learned, and this is not a spoiler, but at the end of the game, you see Bond will return, which means they are turning this into a trilogy of games.
Of course.
So, and the biggest critique that I've seen from this game so far is that it doesn't feel like the Bond we know. It feels more like a Hitman, or like you said, the other games that you mentioned. And that's on purpose, because this game is taking us to a place that the movies never have.
Yeah.
And that is a Bond backstory.
Yeah.
Bond before he was the smooth talker that we know.
Yeah. I mean, it's very much an intro to this character, and I like that because we haven't seen that before. I like kind of understanding what made him. I mean, he's always obviously been like impulsive and not doing what he's told and that kind of thing. But I mean, you're getting a really good sense of maybe the motivations and maybe why he becomes the man he does, and that's why I like that we're getting a restructured MI6, 00, department rebuilt, all that kind of stuff. But I want to touch upon just the gameplay in general, or the visuals, because you mentioned the visuals. And so there's parts of this game, I'm going to be a little critical, because there's parts of this game where I feel like the graphics are really good. And then there's parts of this game where I feel like they're a little clunky. And the parts that I feel like they're clunky is actually the cutscenes, because the cutscenes, there's a few parts where there's like some NPCs in the background, or maybe to the side of you that are a side character. And there's just like little things that are off that make it a little surprising, considering they spent so long on the game. And this, company hasn't always been like the greatest in graphics, like the Hitman games. They definitely have a certain style to them. But I found myself looking at the graphics being more polished in the actual gameplay. Like, there's a scene where, like in the opening of the game, for instance, like when you look at the mountains and it's raining and you see the big like sphere dome, that graphic looked amazing. When you're in the hotel and you're looking out on the mountains and the water and the lake and all that kind of stuff, it looks great. There's some chase scenes in this game where like you're running past things and everything looks really polished. So I love that the majority of the gameplay is polished. But when the cutscenes happen, I'm like, there's a little bit of glitches here and there that you would have probably seen in a game about like 10 years ago. So that's a little interesting to me. But overall, I think it has a unique style to it, and I think I could really get behind a trilogy of games.
Right. And it sets up the idea that we're going to see the Bond that we know in the second and third game.
Yeah.
But I find myself, again, hoping that we get a different Bond, sort of what DC is doing with the Batman and then whatever James Gunn is about to do, where it's like they're going to be the Batman from separate universes, where maybe we get a little bit of the backstory of this Bond, but the movie does not follow what this Bond is doing, or something like that. I would love to see that. And then it gives director Denis Villeneuve and the writers and the producers still full control over who they want and what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think this is encouraging for Amazon taking the helm moving forward with the projects that they're going to do. So I'm all for these games. It's fun. I really hope the movies kind of follow suit and we get a really good Bond, because, there's a lot of people out there that are pretty critical in terms of what they could do. But I'm after playing this game and hopefully the rest of the game, I think they're in good hands.
Let us know what you think about 007 First Light. Have you played it? Have you beat it? Are you looking forward to playing it? Or are you going to wait and see what they do with the movie before you really dive into what Amazon has done with IOI in this game? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, for Fandom Fix, I'm Roman, that's Austin, and we'll see you next time.